My name is Margaret, and I'm 68 years old, and if there's one thing I wish I could go back and tell my younger self, my 30-year-old self, my 40-year-old self, even my 50-year-old self, it's this. Let them walk away. Let them walk away. And don't you dare chase after them. I know that sounds cold. I know it sounds harsh. But, sweetheart, it took me decades of heartache, sleepless nights, and silent tears to understand that letting people go is not cruelty. It's freedom. It's the hardest lesson that set me free, and I pray you learn it sooner than I did. I spent so many years holding on to friendships that had long turned cold, holding on to family members who made me feel small, holding on to people who only called when they needed something, who only showed up when it was convenient for them. I told myself I was being loyal. I told myself I was being kind. But the truth? I was terrified of being alone. I was terrified of what it would mean if I stopped trying, if I stopped fixing, if I stopped being the one who always reached out first. There was a time in my life, my early 50s, I think, when I realized I hadn't heard from a close friend in months. We used to talk every week. We used to share everything, but slowly the calls stopped. The texts became shorter, and then nothing. I kept telling myself she was busy. I kept making excuses. So I reached out, again and again and again, and every time it was the same. A quick reply, a vague promise to catch up soon. But soon never came. And you know what hurt the most? It wasn't that she was gone. It was that I was the only one trying to keep us together. I was the only one who cared. And that realization, that I was holding on to someone who had already let go, it broke something in me. But it also woke me up, because I started to see a pattern. It wasn't just her. It was others too, people who took and never gave back. People who only remembered I existed when they needed advice, or a favor, or someone to vent to. People who made me feel like I was too much, or not enough, or just optional. And I kept letting them. I kept opening the door. I kept making space for people who wouldn't even give me a corner of their lives. I used to think that if I just tried harder, if I just loved more, if I just understood more, that things would change, that they would see my worth, that they would finally choose me. But they didn't. And the truth is, they never would. Because people show you who they are, not through their words, but through their actions. And when someone shows you that you're not a priority, when someone shows you that they can go weeks, months, even years without checking in on you, when someone shows you that they're perfectly fine without you in their life, believe them. Don't make excuses for them. Don't rewrite their story in your head. Don't convince yourself that they're just going through something, that they'll come around, that deep down they really do care. Because if they cared, you'd know. You'd feel it. You wouldn't be sitting there wondering if you matter to them. Let them walk away. If they want to choose someone else over you, let them. If they want to go silent for weeks and act like it's no big deal, let them. If they're comfortable with never seeing you, never hearing your voice, never being part of your life, let them. I know it hurts. God, I know it hurts. But holding on to people who don't want to stay hurts so much more. Because every time you chase, every time you beg for their attention, every time you bend yourself into shapes you were never meant to be just to keep them around, you lose a piece of yourself. And eventually, there's nothing left. I learned this the hard way. I had a sister. Well, I still have a sister, but we don't speak anymore. For years, I tried to keep our relationship alive. I called on her birthday. I sent cards. I invited her to things. But she never reciprocated. She never made an effort. And when I finally stopped trying, do you know what happened? Nothing. She didn't notice. She didn't care. And that hurt more than anything, because it confirmed what I had been too afraid to admit. I was the only one fighting for us. And you know what I did after that? I mourned. I cried. I felt angry and heartbroken and confused, but then slowly I started to feel something else. Relief, because I wasn't carrying that weight anymore. I wasn't wondering if this would be the time she'd finally show up for me. I wasn't making excuses for her absence. I wasn't pretending anymore. I let her go. And in doing so, I found space. Space for people who actually wanted to be in my life. Space for relationships that felt easy and mutual and real. Here's what I want you to understand, sweetheart. You are not here to convince people to love you. You are not here to prove your worth to anyone. You are not here to fix broken relationships all by yourself. You are here to live your life fully, to surround yourself with people who see you, who value you, who choose you without hesitation. And if someone doesn't see your worth, that's not your problem. That's theirs. Let them go. Let them show you who they are through their actions, not their words. Let them prove that they deserve a place in your life. Let them earn your time, your energy, your forgiveness. Because those things are precious. You are precious. And you don't owe anyone access to you just because they're family, or because you have history, or because you're afraid of being alone. You don't owe anyone your peace. I wasted so many years trying to change myself for others. I thought if I was kinder, if I was more understanding, if I was less demanding, they would stay. I thought if I made myself smaller, if I needed less, if I asked for nothing, they would finally see me. But that's not how it works. When you shrink yourself for someone, they don't love you more. They just expect you to stay small. They expect you to keep giving while they keep taking. And before you know it, you've become a ghost in your own life, living for everyone else's comfort, while your own heart breaks in silence. I remember one particular Christmas. I spent weeks planning, cooking, decorating, making sure everything was perfect, because I wanted my family to feel loved. I wanted them to want to be there. And they came, but they came late. They came distracted. They came with half their attention on their phones and half on the door, ready to leave for the next gathering. And I sat there, watching them, realizing that all my effort meant nothing. Because they weren't there for me. They were there out of obligation. And that night, after everyone left, I sat alone in my kitchen, surrounded by dishes and leftover food, and I cried. Not because they left, but because I had worked so hard to matter to people who didn't care. That was a turning point for me. I realized I had been doing this my whole life, bending over backward for people who wouldn't take a single step toward me, and I made a decision that night. I decided I was done chasing, done begging, done making myself smaller so others could feel bigger. I decided that if people wanted to be in my life, they would have to show me. Not tell me. Show me. And do you know what happened? Some people disappeared. People I thought were important just faded away when I stopped doing all the work. And it hurt. It hurt like hell. But others stayed. Others stepped up. Others showed me that I didn't have to beg for their love because it was already there. And those are the people in my life today, the ones who call just because, the ones who remember, the ones who show up. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Margaret, what if they come back? What if they realize they made a mistake? And to that I say, maybe they will. But by then, you will have grown. You will have healed. You will have built a life that doesn't revolve around waiting for people who left. And if they do come back, You get to decide if there's still room for them. You get to set the terms. You get to protect your peace. Because you've learned that letting people go doesn't mean you're bitter or unforgiving. It means you love yourself enough to walk away from what hurts you. But here's the thing, you have to mean it. You can't let them go and then keep the door cracked open. You can't say you're done and then keep checking if they've noticed. You can't claim your peace and then give it away the moment they send a text. You have to commit to yourself. You have to believe that you are worth more than breadcrumbs. You are worth more than inconsistency. You are worth more than someone's convenience. I wish I had known this at 30. I wish I had known that it's okay to close the door on people who refuse to meet you halfway. I wish I had known that being alone is better than being with people who make you feel lonely. I wish I had known that I didn't have to shrink myself, or silence myself, or apologize for taking up space just to keep someone in my life who didn't even want to be there. I wish someone had told me that my worth wasn't determined by who stayed or who left, but by how I treated myself when they were gone. But I know it now, and I'm telling you, let them walk away, let them leave, let them choose themselves, and you choose yourself too. Stop watering dead plants. Stop pouring into empty cups. Stop giving your heart to people who won't hold it carefully. You deserve more than that. You deserve people who show up, people who check in, people who make you feel seen and heard and loved without you having to beg for it. And yes, it will be hard. You will miss them. You will wonder if you made the right choice. You will have moments where you want to reach out, where you want to apologize even though you did nothing wrong, where you want to go back to how things were. But don't. Stay strong. Trust yourself. Trust that you are making space for something better. Trust that the right people will stay, and the wrong ones will leave. And that's okay. That's more than okay. That's how it's supposed to be. So let them go. Let them show you who they are. Let them walk out that door if that's what they want. And you hold your head high. You keep moving forward. You build a life that feels good, that feels true, that feels like yours. Because you are not defined by who stays or who leaves. You are defined by how you treat yourself when they're gone. I'm 68 now, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, the people who are meant to be in your life will make it clear. They won't leave you guessing. They won't make you feel like you're asking for too much. They won't disappear and reappear whenever it suits them. They will be there, consistently, lovingly, intentionally. And everyone else? Let them walk away. Let them go. Because you, my dear, you are worth so much more than someone's maybe. You are worth someone's absolutely. And until you find that, you are enough all on your own. Don't ever forget that. This truth about letting go saved my life, and I hope it saves yours too.